we have the next panel setting. Already Patty has set the very high stage for this panel. And we have wonderful panelists who are coming in front of us, who are going to talk. Our teachers, which is told in our Indian culture, Guru Bhyo Namaha, we tell. So our prayers are, our teacher is our God, and that's where, and the teacher is the first person whom the child gets in contact with after the parents. And if we are able to bring in EI in education, then what magic we all can do. And if the teachers are championing this, imagine how the child would have blossomed. I'm sure all of you are attending now, 55 people. If all those teachers and others, if your teacher would have shown any time that kind of EI with us, and imagine, you will remember the teacher for the life. I'm sure we all have such teachers and such mentors in our life who has showcased EI when we wanted it in our childhood, especially in our childhood. So today we have a very, very eminent panel in front of us, because I don't want it to take much time, because we need to read their profiles and also invite them. And we have only 30 minutes slotted for them. But I would request that go on for a little more time, because after that is just don't click on the claps. Just hold on, please. We have the panel who is going to discuss on EI for education. Welcome Dr. Seema Negi, Sonia Khanna, Neerja Singh, and with Patty Freedman. We will have an exciting discussions. And on the eve of our International Girl Child Day, we are opening up the day 2 with the all-women panel who are eminent girls who have learned a lot of EQ and EI, and they are championing the change of EI in education. So I am sure that this panel will rock. You will not move a single bit from your chairs. Stay tuned, and over to Indira to introduce Patty Freedman and take over from there, the panel.
Thank you, Anu. So, thank you so much, Anu.
Yeah, go ahead to introduce the moderator now, Miss Neerja.
Yeah.
I thought it's my fault.
Yeah, no problem. So, a very good morning to all of you. Really, what an insightful session by Patty. I'm actually inspired right now. And here she is again to join our panel discussion on EI for education. Our panelists are, as Anu said, Patty Freedman, Dr. Seema Negi, and Sonia Khanna. The panel is for 30 minutes, and with Ms. Neerja Singh moderating the discussion. So, more about Ms. Neerja. Neerja Singh calls herself as the teenager, a senior teenager. What a term! I love it. She is a professional speaker on generational issues with 37 years of work and life experience as an advertising executive, prize-winning fiction writer, feature journalist, teacher, documentary script writer, TV anchor, and professional columnist. She addresses India's never-before generation gap. She is also president of the Delhi chapter of the Professional Speakers Association of India and chief teen. So that's about Ms. Neerja. To my dear viewers and participants, I would like to say that I'm sure you will all have a lot of questions after the panel. So I request all of you to put all of your questions in the chat box. I will personally moderate them. We will address these questions at the end of the panel. And Neerja ma'am, I will be passing over these questions to you. Now over to you, Neerja ma'am, to introduce our panelists. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Indra. We'll jump into it right away. It's a very accomplished panel. I'm going to begin with Patty Freedman. She's the director of Pop-Up Festival. Some of you have joined a little later, and we just heard details of the Pop-Up Festival. This is the world's largest SEL, social emotional learning event. Last year, in partnership with UNICEF, World's Children's Day, Pop-Up Festival reached 1.7 million children and adults around the world. In India, there were over 4,000 events hosted by volunteers to bring SEL into schools, clubs, and homes. Pop-up festivals bring emotional well-being, children's rights, and sustainable development goals to children. Patty is also Global Marketing Director for 6 Seconds Emotional Intelligence Network. Last year, she presented a keynote at the first Emotional Intelligence Conference at the United Nations, where she shared the stage with New York Times bestseller Daniel Goleman and Rich Hernandez from Google's Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute. Patty holds a master's in education and was an award-winning classroom teacher before moving into marketing to create emotional intelligence stories, videos, and content. Patty's noble goal is to use her voice so that others may use theirs. Therefore, Pop-Up Festival is a project very close to her heart, teaching children and parents the essential SEL skills that last a lifetime. That's Patty Freedman for you. Welcome to the panel, Patty. And we move on to Dr. Seema Negi. She lives by the principles of empathy and gratitude. Dr. Negi is a global goodwill ambassador, an edu leader, and the principal of Sanjeevani World School, Mumbai, India. She's a coordinator for SAARC Nations Regional Committee for the Global Youth Parliament. And she's the Secretary General from India for Global Talk Education. Dr. Negi has won the prestigious crown of Education Queen 2018, Miss Role Model 2018, in an exclusive pageant only for the educationists. She's a proud Rotarian social ambassador for Indian Development Foundation. Dr. Negi is an advisor for Sports Academy Association of India, and she is also the territory head for Association for Primary Education and Research. Dr. Negi's work is recognized by the World Book of Records UK in the personal and professional category. Her maxim, I am because we are. And for her, her team and her students are her top priority. Welcome, Dr. Negi. Dr. Seema Negi, welcome to the panel. I'll now introduce you to Sonia Khanna, who's the third panelist, principal of the Aster Public School, Delhi. She's been working with school children for 20 years plus. She's given great amount of support and mentoring to not just children. She's also made sure that her teaching staff has grown and excelled under her guidance. She has over 16 years of experience in designing and training activity-based and interactive group learning programs in both conventional and techno-active classrooms. She's also been integrating these activities in the classroom. Her belief is that the aim of education should be how to think rather than what to think, to improve our minds so as to enable us to think for ourselves rather than to load the memory with thoughts of other men. The freedom to make mistakes, she believes, provides the best environment for creativity. She conducts teacher training programs in different parts of India and has shared her work experience on how to teach with about 2,000 teachers so far. She has a master's in mathematics. She's an MCA, master's in computer application, BEd, MBA, business administration and human resource development. She's authored an activity-based maths course book and which was published by Cambridge University Press. She's also authored an interactive maths book for classes 6th, 7th, and 8th, published by Navdeep Publications. In fact, she has authored over 30 books on maths and computer science with marquee publications. Over 500 workshops have been conducted by Sonia Khanna and for various teachers training programs organized by semi-government NGOs and other marquee publication houses. With that, I complete the introduction of the panel and let's jump into the question. We are very eager to hear your views. Yes. My first question is directed at you, Patty Freedman. What should be some of the core SEL competencies that one ought to aim for in education?
So thank you for your lovely welcome. I'm so excited to learn from all of you today. I really wanted to focus on two competencies for SEL for us today. The first is exercise optimism. And I know that most of us are familiar with Marty Seligman, the pioneer of positive psychology. But the reason why I think this one is really key is because if youth have low emotional intelligence, this is one of the very first ones that we can harness to make a difference. It's so easy to see change we give kids concrete tools to achieve this one, and they make a difference. And then once kids see their improvement, that is contagious, and it makes more improvement happen. So specifically for exercising optimism, I want kids to shift from thinking about setbacks as PPP, so permanent, pervasive, and powerless. And I want them to shift to TIE, temporary, isolated, and effort. So that if you have a setback, you can think about, well, it was just this one time, and it was just this one class, and it was just, if I study more, if I put more effort in, I can make a change. And so I think if we get kids to move that they can use what Carol Dweck at Stanford calls about growth mindset, which this is a note for teachers, that if you really move from praising a child for talent or special skills and really focus on their effort and their hard work, that's what we can encourage, because that's changeable. That means that students have power, not just something like, oh, well, I'm born with it. If they put in the hard work, they can get better results. And the second one that I really want to focus on is what in 6 seconds we call pursue noble goals, or having a higher purpose. Having purpose is really essential to having a guiding star or a path forward. Now, pursue no goals is outside of Dan Goleman's model, but I think it's really critical. And William Damon, who's a researcher at Stanford, has focused his research on purpose with adolescents ages 12 to 22. And he says that he's surprised that there's not a lot of purpose in this age group, that somehow purpose doesn't come awake in most people until the 30s. But I think that if we can bring more attention to purpose for young people, and specifically the way we can activate that is by asking kids to think about their legacy, to think about, when I'm 10 years from now, when I'm finished with school, what do I want to have accomplished or to look back on? What do I want to be known for? And I think the time scale is really interesting, because if you ask them when they're when you ask them to think about when they are a grandfather, that's too far away. But if you ask them to think about when they've graduated, that's a much tighter time difference. But specifically practicing on what you would like to be known for helps them begin to think about their own legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you. About optimism, I think all of us here need to take a leaf from that lesson, because we wear these, preoccupied dark cloud on our faces with a list of things to do and forget to look optimistic in life.
And in this moment where we are faced with so much uncertainty and so much struggle,
exactly.
I think it's very hard, but we can practice optimism.
Absolutely. And about the second thing, Patty, my impression was that this generation, at least the urbanites, are very woke. They're very woke. They're social justice warriors. They want to make an impact. So that is something I associate with this generation, and I think it's something to feel very hopeful about and proud about. Yes. When did emotions come? When did emotions come to the forefront of social dialogue? Dr. Negi, this is for you. And how can one best assess SEL? There are two questions there. When did emotions come to the forefront of social dialogue? There are cultures like Indian culture, where emotions were not talked about for the longest time. And how can one best assess SEL?
So thank you for this wonderful question. And thank you, Patty, for setting the tone so well from optimism. I will take it forward from there only. So when we talk about India's context and we go back to Gurukul, I think when we go back to Gurukul and we introspect the kind of teaching learning that took place there, because there all the pupils were there with the gurus, and gurus were not only responsible for their academic pursuit or their success in their academic journey, but to prepare them as a holistic citizen for that particular nation, where all their emotions, their social belongingness, their rasas. I mean, we have navras in India. We talk about 9 different emotions. Each and every ras was catered. I mean, they were free to express their anger. They were free to express their love, their sorrow, everything. And I think during the passage of time, Neerja ji, I feel that we have kept it at the background, and forefront was taken up by a lot of academically driven activities. But then
Yes.
when each one of us empowered educationists like you and me and the entire world came together to put it in front of the world that it's not just academics which is making a person a holistic being. It is the individual. Each and every person might not be 100% in exams, but yes, each and every person needs to be 100% life ready. So when this thought came to our mind, I think this generation started rethinking about what we have done, though the loss is immense because there is a generation who was only and only academic centric generation. But now a 3-year-old child, when the child comes to school, parents look for whether the teacher will provide the comfort to my child. It's not about learning A to Z, it's about interacting with the peers. It's about if my child is not feeling good, will the teacher sit with the child, or the child will be able to make friends. So slowly and steadily we understood that the 5 key points of social and emotional learning, which we talk about: self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision making, relationship skills, and social awareness, starts from beginning. A kindergarten child also knows that okay, the child has to sit with a peer, sometimes they have to share their tiffin. These are the part of growing. Now if we come to how to assess them, though there are not any tight compartment to assess them, because I think each and every skill goes hand in hand. But still few of the things that we practice, and I am very, very vocal about social and emotional skills because I personally believe in that. I do not
Mhm.
think that we have to only prepare children for 100% in academics, but they should be 100% life ready. That is my motto in my school. So coming to the first one, self-awareness. So for self-awareness, what we can do when children come to our school or when we go somewhere, we can have small activity like to observe them how they are feeling, or just to have a emotional box wherein they can pick up an emotion. Okay, today I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, I am feeling gloomy. And while they go back, ask them how they are feeling, or just let them drop a smiley there, a smiley which says okay, now they are feeling better. Or throughout the day with lot of activities, they felt yes, their sense of purpose was achieved. So we can have these kind of small emotional boxes which really help. Second is when we talk about self management, we can have for each and every child a goal tracker. Now goal tracker, we always keep it for academics, but rather than academics, if we make our children keep goal tracker for their peers. So suppose if my friend is not feeling well today, or my friend is not doing well in a particular subject, am I there for my friend, and have I made a goal that how I am going to make my friend reach to that particular level? So when we do that,
Mhm.
we practice empathy. We feel
Yeah.
from their point of view, and that is something which make our children a better individual. Coming to social awareness, we can have different perspective, and we need to understand each other's perspective. We need to display different perspective by role play. I'll give you a very small quick story. Senior KG child was asked by the teacher, what is the color of the apple? All the children, they gave various answers: red, green, yellow, orange. One child said the color of the apple is white, and entire class was surprised. How apple can be white? Teacher called the child and asked, how come apple can be white? The child nicely went to the seat, picked up his tiffin and showed it to teacher. The mother has nicely peeled off the apple and cut it nice pieces. And that was the change perspective. Even that we have to be aware of. And that is how from that day apple became white also for us, and it was a learning for us. Coming to relationship skill, I think the best is the break times, during their recess time, during the play time when they are on the playground, and during the time when they are traveling in the school bus. Trust me, these are the places when they express themselves freely, and we need to give this kind of freedom to them. And I also add one to that in my school is the time when they are in the washroom. Sometime in the washroom they do not speak in the language that the school expect them to speak in English or so, but give them that kind of breather that really develops the skill. Last but not the least, that is we have to assess how good they are when it comes to responsible decision taking. Trust me, this generation is more empowered than any one of us sitting here. They know how to take the decisions, and let them do that. Right or wrong, that we can rectify later, but let them do that. Give them situation, throw them to a situation, trust me, solution will come, and a better solution will come from them. And that is how I think I learn every day. I throw the situation and there are immense solutions. So that is what we do, Neerja ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. There is skepticism wherever you go and talk about SEL, the question comes up. इससे फर्क पड़ता है? इससे उनकी performance improve होती है? That the question comes up. So these outcomes are important to be able to measure and yes. Let's move on to Sonia Khanna, ma'am. What are some of the biggest challenges you foresee in implementing social emotional learning in schools? I know you've done it in your school to an extent. What are the challenges, some of the biggest challenges we are going to face?
Yeah, I feel that the biggest challenge for the school is time. As the school has a pressure of completing the syllabus, and that is important for all learners, I know. As far as the EQ is concerned, you need to have much more time at hand to work on. Because let's take a small example. All of us face the problem of headache, which is common to all, and each one of us has to bear it. But I am taking Ceridon for that, and you are taking Crocin or something, paracetamol or something other. So my point is that the medications are different, but the problem is one. So sometimes the problem of each child is same, but the solution is different. It has to be handled on a one-on-one basis with a lot of personal attention. I would like to suggest that in schools, the curriculum should be designed in such a way that there is no need of a special session to teach EQ. Rather, EQ can be used to bring out the help and our students to work on their emotions. We can guide them to work on their emotions. I don't think that anything special is required for this. It should be inbuilt, like a sugar in milk. It should be like that. The heart and love for our students will sit, but at times a small comparison to their peer group can irk a feeling of contempt, and they are driven into tears. At times, the students also vent out their feelings by trying to hit and get their frustration out of their beds. Here, I would like to mention that a workshop or a training in EQ for the educators will be a hit on the nail's head to derive a quick solution. Rather than teaching children, why not to teach the educators that how to work on that? The way the word is moving, it is my strong wish to work for the children on their EQ. And for this, it could be a part of the curriculum. The class of students may belong to the same age group, but their level of learning and understanding is different. And tapping this is also one of the major challenges. We all know that our fingers stand tall when they are standalone. When they are bent a little and hold together, wonders can be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you. A nice analogy of the fingers. Really alludes to the environment of collaboration that we keep talking about these days. Thank you, Sonia Khanna. Patty, this question is for you. What would be the easiest way? I think you have answered it in a manner in your the earlier conversation, but it bears repetition. What would be the easiest way to implement SEL in schools? And this question comes up very frequently. Schools ask, how long will it take to make a school an SEL school?
So I'll answer that in two parts, yeah? The first one is I would invite everyone to join Pop-Up Festival because it's free and it's built for parents and families to do together. And so I think that really an integrated approach is the best way because we can't just teach the children in isolation. This is a systemic project and we want to bring everyone into the solution. And EQ is needed by everyone, from our seniors to our littlest ones. So the second question is, how long does it take to make an EQ school? It's a little bit harder, but based on our experience, to really get a systemic integrated approach takes some time, approximately 5 years. But I wanted, and it happens in phases, just like all growth with all people. But I wanted to tell you that the good news is that there's not just one path to implementation. Like if you have a teacher that's very excited about SEL and wants to start doing more content in her classroom, she starts there. She starts with her own children and then with the parents of those children. And then maybe the principal notices and they say, oh, that class is doing really well. And so that teacher can teach other teachers. Another path might be there's a principal that has an idea and wants all teachers to learn. That's a different path. Or it could even be a legislature says in this province, I want all of the kids to get these skills. And so there's many entry points. But the part I do want to say is that it takes some champions or some people that really want to pursue the project inside a school. And that flame will go out unless it's supported by the administrators eventually. Like you can light a candle, but you can't keep it burning unless there's oxygen in the room. So I would like you to start a project and then look for allies. And people get energy by being with others. So I would find your allies.
Patty, many of us sitting here, in this gathering, they have experienced how rigid and traditional some schools can be.
Yeah.
They have a very straight way of looking at things, and normative science for the longest time has not been spoken of in schools.
Yeah.
So it's been academics. Yeah. Have you faced such situations, and how have you handled those? What can be done about that?
So we, for many years, have gone about this by trying to tell people the facts and say, look at all this data we have that academics are improved when you have better emotional intelligence. But I think one of the better ways to get inside the heart and the minds of an administrator or a legislature is to ask them what they think success is and how to get to be successful, and ask them to identify the skills that went into that success. For example, if they're a lawyer or if they're a doctor, what did it take to get there? And I think they would say, I had to learn persistence. I had to learn how to be an independent. I had to learn how to work with my team. And then you start to say, listen, all of those are people skills, and all of those are actually emotional intelligence. And so if we want our children to be successful and to make academic success, we have to give them the foundation and the skills that is not just from a book. Yeah, it's from people to people.
True. Yes. I think that's a good way to ask them what their definition of success is, and then work backwards from there. Right.
Because I think that
thank you, Patty. And yes, please.
There's nobody that got there to where they are by themselves. Everybody got there by getting help, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Absolutely. True. Dr. Seema, Negi, there's some of the schools have this practice. My children started in DPS Puram. They had this 11th and 12th for brilliant students coming in with a certain percentage. There would be a cutoff, and they would be distributed. What does that do for them? And as a corollary to that question is, what SEL skills, mindsets, and behaviors matter most in schools, particularly in schools that still practice this kind of classification? Yes.
To begin with, any of the educator, if there is a real teacher in us, we will never ever classify or bifurcate children like this. For example, if a child is a below average child, and if the child is put in, say, E division, and all the children are below average, that means we will never let the child become an average or above average child. And now let's see a different situation wherein is A division, we have below average, above average, and a brilliant child. And if the brilliant child becomes the buddy of the below average child, the possibility of the below average child succeeding and scoring more academically also and in life also are more. We are not giving that experience to our children. So I personally feel, if somebody discuss this with me, I say rather than having ABCD, then let's have divisions like UVWXYZ. And please cater everyone on the same and similar platform. So this also takes me to the other question that you have asked, which is very important. For me, what matters the most when it comes to SEL is, first is, do not let any child face the ACE, that is adverse childhood experience. This adverse childhood experience is going to shape that child's personality. We talk about big things, we talk about perseverance, we talk about resilience, we talk about everything. But all these skills can be learned right from your nursery or early ages. We have to provide them that opportunity. Again, I'll come to the story and then I'll answer this. A child named Aryan goes home and tells his mother that I have got the best role in annual day. The parents were very excited. Wow, my child got the best role. So slowly and slowly day passed, and every day the child was more enthusiastic compared to the previous day. So finally, the day came, parents sat in front of the huge stage and they were waiting for their child to perform. So, first performance, second performance, third performance, annual day ended. And this child came happily running to his parents, and the parents were in deep disappointment. They were like angry. We did not see you on the stage. Where were you? You said you have the main role. We were expecting this and that. Okay. The child said, you did not see me. I was the one who was standing near the curtain and cheering for each and every child who was performing. That is what we should do as an educator. And I think that is the
Yeah.
experience we need to give to our children. And that is what I strongly believe in. That is why I say in our school, we practice gratitude. In our school, our Monday assemblies are gratitude for mother, father, and gurus. Tuesday's assembly for brother, sister, and sibling. Wednesday for our country. Thursday for entire world's peace. And Friday for each and every living being in this planet. And that is the most important skill for me. If we start practicing gratitude and if we empathize with each other, I think a child will grow as a much better human being, whether it's academics or it's other spheres. IQ will be catered, SQ will be catered, AQ will be catered, EQ will be catered. And that is what we practice, Neerja ji.
Thank you very much. I got that story. I was chosen to clap and cheer. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. Yes. Actually, all of us, all of you with your work experience and body your work in SEL, I think if you can possibly connect SEL with employability also at some point, especially a country like India, in fact, globally, if that connection can be made, it's more acceptable, and I think people will be more oriented and understand what all the SEL can do, because in a country like India, employability, skills, that's a big issue there.
So Neerja ji, if
So,
I have
Sonia,
to add something
yes,
here,
yes,
I
please.
think yes, what you said is really right. And also what is needed is the growth mindset, because we as educator, we as principals might feel that, okay, we want this as a part of our curriculum, or entire curriculum should revolve around it. But we need to show that vision to our teachers, why it is important. So it's
Yes.
like we who have to
Yes.
first dive into it, let them see it, become the role model, how Sonia ji rightly put up, and then I think they can take it forward. I am using one strategy in my school, that is, I personally take classes in all the class under the initiative called Principal Ki Pathshala. That is everything beyond academics. Whatever children want to discuss, whether it's Instagram or it's Facebook or it's Twitter, or it to color the hair or not to color the hair, whatever, but nothing related to academics.
That's great, Seema. The thing is that at this stage in the corporate sector, in the professional area, there are workshops being taken for millennials, for Generation Z, for older managers on how to face failure, how to develop resilience, how to handle your relationships. In fact, these workshops would become redundant if we started SEL at the right time. So that connection can be made and exhibited and talked about and popularized. Then the acceptance would grow, perhaps, of the need to implement SEL in schools. That was my problem.
Very, very true. And it has to start
Yes,
from school.
That's right. Sonia ma'am, this question is coming at you. In your experience, what have been some of the deepest pain points that students struggle with today, in particular, in schools today? That would be very interesting to know.
Yeah, I feel that expression and peer pressure, the paramount being the pressure of education by the school and the parents. Nowadays, what I personally feel, that the child is like a ball in a court, where parents are throwing in a school's court and school is throwing it back. Nobody is really ready to understand child's struggle. Parent is worried about only three things, that are marks, marks, and marks. I implore that marks should not be the criteria for judging child's performance. As I have stated above, each and every child is different and has its own potential. One should churn and tap the right resource to get the best. The parents need to work hand in gloves with the teachers to understand and tackle the emotional quotient of the child. Actually, ma'am, living a child's life is no child's play. There are too many complexities in their little brain, which is inexpressible. And I feel that let's stop this blame game and come to a common platform, which is going to be only child-centric and working for their holistic development. Here, I really want to thank Seema ma'am for this division of assembly, which she stated it is excellent tool, so that at least assembly will be a very interesting event for them, which at present they are not enjoying that much. So having the second thing which I feel is required, which is the pain area, is a connect. We don't have a good connect with the child. Having a connect with the child is very important. Like using his name rather than, hey, you get up. No, rather than name, if you use their name, that has a long impact on him. In a classroom, a smiley to a backbencher is going to produce a good motivation. EQ can bring a sea of change if we all work together religiously. There are many pain areas, but at present, these are the main areas which I feel which has to be taken care. I believe if we work on EQ, IQ will definitely follow. That's what I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There's an impression, there's a sentiment that a lot of the discussion happens around the urban setting, and that the rural children get left out, and there are differences there. Any of you want to address that? That's open to everyone here. Is that your my feeling, Seema, is that I'll quickly share what I have seen. I'm a mentor with teenagers, and because of the internet, a lot of things have gotten evened out. So a child who is in the rural, setting and has access to internet, there's a lot of thoughts and ideas and belief systems that are getting like osmosis. It's just going out there and becoming homogeneous. But of course, their physical conditions differ because their classrooms and their classes may not be conducted on a regular basis, and those issues are there. Their families are there. But to an extent, whatever is being discussed, I think does apply to at least the two-tier cities. The villages, yes, it's a different scenario completely. True, that's true. So we've come to the end of the discussion. Any more golden nuggets that you must share?
I had one addition that I don't know if it's. I think it's super applicable to both of our countries. That I worry very much about what's happened to our education now that we've gone to virtual settings for our kids, because I worry that people are going to only focus on academics in this virtual school, and the things that we used to do, sitting the children in a circle or touching someone on the shoulder, those interactions that adults and children used to have, the reassurance that kids get through emotional signaling, is not happening in a virtual setting. And so I challenge all of you who are teachers doing virtual school to take a little bit of time to share feelings or share stories or give children a way to express themselves, because they need it very much. It's part of their development.
Thank you, Patty. I think we come to the close. I see smiles there and like, yes, we are done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Seema. Thank you, Sonia, all of you.
Thank you all,
A pleasure.
four of you. Thank you so
Pleasure.
much. Neerja ma'am,
Thank you.
Dr. Seema, Negi, Patty, and Sonia Khanna ma'am. It was wonderful, wonderful to have you all. I think we couldn't stop you, and we have to learn a lot. You have taken back into our memory lane. You brought tears in our eyes. You brought memories in our eyes. I think Dr. Seema, that child was me, you know. And as I speak, I remember how difficult it was. And I'm sure, like Sonia Khanna ma'am told, EQ, if we develop, IQ follows. I think there are so many golden nuggets you have all given. And I'm sure, yes, with the teachers like you, I think we will be having a very shining India with a lot of EQ children who can manage very well in their corporate world. Because as sitting in the corporate world, what I have seen is adverse childhood has affected many people in their personality building, and we had a lot of issues in them. And at that point of time, we can't correct anything. We can't. Thank you so much. It was wonderful,
Absolutely.
wonderful having each one of you. Our gratitudes to you. Please, can we take up our certifications? Yes, a big round of applause to all of them. Please, virtually, please applaud. Please, physically applaud. Thank you, Dr. Seema Negi ma'am.
Thank you.
It's a token of appreciation from Emotionalytics and MEQ Academy for sharing your insights. We would love to have an exclusive session from you and learn more about how to raise our children. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia Khanna ma'am. Maths was a very tough subject for me, and it is always scary. I think I will learn from you. I'm sure with EQ blended maths, I think I'll be having wonderful teacher in front of me. Thank you for sharing those insights and being a speaker today and sharing all your great learnings for us. Thank you so much for being over here.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Neerja ma'am. I think there could not be any other moderator who could have done justice to this panel. You were amazing, I would say. That's the only word I could use. I know the energies you're sharing with us from some couple of days before. It was awesome. Awesome. Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing all the insights. Wonderfully moderating the panel. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty, for being there in our panel again and sharing all your things. And we will be with you for the Pop-Up Festival. We will be with you for doing all that which we wanted for having great children in India. We have also planted the trees, as we have told that, yes, this is sponsored by our partner, GAPS Digital Solutions. We have planted for each one a tree. And as we told for Patty Freedman, we have planted it in Uttarakhand or Himalayas. Yes. Next slide.
Thank you.
Dr. Seema Negi, आपका भी हम उत्तराखंड में plant किया है in the Greater Himalayas. We will send you your tree and you can track your tree. You please grow the tree as like your child.
This is the biggest blessing you have given me in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Seema Negi. Thank you, Sonia Khanna ma'am. We have planted your tree also in this Uttarakhand in the Himalayas, and we will share this with you. Neerja ma'am. Next. Yes. So all the plants are in Uttarakhand in the Greater Himalayas because great teachers are to be in the Greater Himalayas only. Nothing more else.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you having each one of you to start our day. Thank you so much.